Hare.
All right, here we go. Living now, living right now. This is L.Nathan here, your host here for this next hour at WFO 96.5, Power 96.5 FM on your dial. Our principal sponsor, of course, the Community Action Organization of Western New York, still fighting the war on poverty, now in our 52nd year. I want to welcome all of you again to this hour of insight, introspection, and interpretation of facts, events, and trends affecting you right here and right now in Buffalo and the Western New York community, and in fact, connecting to communities all across the country. Each week, we focus on things we think will be of interest to you, which will serve to motivate you and serve to connect you to the broader issues that affect our communities here in Western New York. Now, today's program is live, so you can call in. You can join our discussion. I hope that you will. Our number here again is 837-1112. That's 837-1112. Today, we have a very special guest. We have our superintendent of the Buffalo Public School System, Dr. Kriner, who's going to be talking to us about the grand bargain. I want us to feel something. Please get your pencil and paper handy, because there's going to be information you're going to need to record and store and use that comes out of this program. It's really important that we understand, Dr. Cash, what a bargain is. If you got a bargain that's just between you and you, that's probably not a bargain. A bargain's got to be between one set of people and another set of people, and one person and another person. That's what makes it a deal. So in order for the superintendent to be able to construct a grand bargain it has to be between the district and us as a community of people. Am I talking right here?
That's right.
All right. And so let's talk a little bit about what the grand bargain is, and then what led you to this construct to try to get us onto a path that leads us to at least educational outcomes that will be normal if you looked at suburban districts, around the country.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hare. It's a pleasure to be here. Good to see everyone this morning. I've been in this career over 30 years. I've studied it for over 100 years. And while we've had fluctuations of improvement toward our cherished goals of providing a equal and high quality education for all students, we never really have achieved that democratic ideal. And so whether it's in Newark, New Jersey, or Miami, Florida, or Memphis, Tennessee, here in Buffalo, New York, the battle has to be a civil rights battle, a social justice battle, where we don't stop until every child gets what you want for your child, an equal, high-quality education with greater access, quality, and opportunity. That's what we want for all our children. Mm-hmm. And I know what you do for yours. I know what I do for my grandchildren and for my children. I want the same thing for all of our children and parents and families here in Buffalo. But the problem was that the public school system, because it exists in a milieu of a community, a city, a region, a state, and a nation, whatever is broken at the community level, whatever is broken at the city level, state level, it's going to directly impact your public school system. Schools don't exist in a vacuum. And so we knew, and I saw early, of all the challenges that are here in Buffalo. But where I saw the challenges, I also saw a lot of will, a lot of interest in changing and making things better. So Buffalo, we're doing our best work right now. And I think we're going to be a proof point for the whole nation of how when you work together and you make a good, strong, honest deal, you can improve the quality of life and the quality of education for everyone. And that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. So when I think about, a grand bargain, I think of there being a set of things that the district is going to be doing to work with students and to work with the families of the students. And there are expectations, if I could be so bold, of the parents and the students. In other words, you can bring me to the water, but I could drown because I'm not trying to drink, right? So you have to really be trying to drink education in order for you to receive the benefits of education.
That's right. Well, it's true in anything. Marriages can be lopsided. When you work, you're with an employer, you have to do your work. So in our education bargain, we say it's pretty straightforward. The district will provide greater quality, opportunity, and access to good education in all of its schools in exchange for a commitment and a partnership with our parents and our students who will work hard. Students can't take no shortcuts, students. You got to do your work. You got to have your books. You got to study. You got to read. You got to do additional study. Whenever you're behind in anything, you got to do more to catch up, not less. Parents, you have to value education. When I talk to the young people, they would like to see their parents, in some cases it's not the case, really put a high premium on education. That means getting your child up every day, insisting that they go to school, ask them how they did in school, checking their work, and exposing and enriching them to all of the opportunities that exist right here in Buffalo to get a stronger literacy foundation, for example. Literacy grows when you just have more experience to enriching activities. And so we're providing more of that, we're providing more access to it, and then the community can help and take part, as they are doing with the 6 parts of our bargain. They're helping in after school, Saturday school, and there are many, many organizations that are providing services and support to this grand plan.
So you said there are 6 parts to the grand bargain?
Yes.
What would those parts be?
6 parts, in short, are first, a rigorous early elementary education. Education all begins in the womb. You have to sing to your child, you have to talk with your child, and when they come into the world, you have to be really, really positive every day and read to the child and help grow that vocabulary. The vocabulary must go to 4,000 or 5,000 words by the time that child is 4 years old.
Right.
So that's goal number 1. What we've done in schools to meet that is lower class sizes, provide literacy coaches, loop our best teachers in the early grades, and put a strong focus on writing and literacy in grades pre-K through 3. So class sizes are lower now to 18 to 22 in most of our classrooms and schools, especially in our challenging high poverty schools, and we're going to grade 3 this coming year. So that's a big deal. When I first came, the schools that needed it the most had the highest class size, 38 kids, 32 kids, 29 kids, no assistants, and often a novice teacher. So it was difficult for children to lift and raise their achievement levels in classrooms like that. So we've improved that, and that's basically the rigorous early education. The second tenet is strong community schools. We have seen in Buffalo, as we've seen in many cities, that children, because of DSEG laws 30, 40 years ago, were being bused all over the city to what at the time was perceived to be a better school. But we hadn't examined that notion in over 30 years. And what I found was that children were spending up to 2 years on a bus from K through grade 12, but not necessarily going to a better school. So we started this concept of making the school the epicenter of the community, right in the heart of the high poverty districts. We put 16 community schools now. We're up to 16. That's half of our elementary schools.
Okay.
And they are the epicenter for that community. We're going to reclaim the community, drive poverty out. We're going to turn poverty into promise and possibility, and reduce and then eliminate the gang influence in these high poverty neighborhoods. And we do that by getting everyone to come to a place where they can learn, they can grow, they can have programming, they can have support both in adult education and in the earliest possible education, which is preschool and 0 to 3 to 4 years old. So all that's happening in the community schools. I encourage you to come out and get involved. The third big plank was we had, it's called New Innovative High Schools. Our high schools, there's 17 high schools altogether. Half of those high schools are good choices for kids. They really are. From McKinley High School to BAFPA, Performing Arts High School, to Da Vinci High School, Hutch Tech, Emerson High School, City Honors, All of those are good choices for kids. But then we had half of our schools tended to be dropout factories, tended to be places where the performance was so low we had to close them. We were on the verge of closing them when I first came and turning them over to other entities. But when I looked at $1.4 billion had gone in the last 12 years into refurbishing
reconstructing these
beautiful schools, it didn't make sense to me. Let's repurpose, let's reimagine, and let's get these schools strong again. So the new innovative high schools, we're up to 10 strong programs now, that if a child and his or her parents stick with that program, you can go now to the new Burgard High School. It's a tremendous opportunity for kids in welding and machine technology, machining tools. So really, you can go and feel the dramatic changes.
In fact, the very thing that everybody's talking about right now, that we got this big loss of retirees over the next 5, 6, 8 years, you can't feel that with employers doing that by themselves. That's really got to be done by the schools training that next cadre of workers.
next group of workers. 165,000 jobs are coming to Western New York. They're coming now, and they'll be coming over the next 10 years. These new high schools are going to get our young people ready to take those jobs, not at entry level only, but at mid-management level, once they complete their college education. So the new Bennett High School, go check it out. It's terrific. Animated, computer, digital technology going on over the computer graphics. The new Bennett is fabulous. The new Lafayette High School is doing well. Great high school choice for families and students. The new East High School with public service, law enforcement, fire, and cybersecurity as concentrations over there. All of these are aligned to emerging industry high schools. They're exciting, and they're your own Buffalo high schools. So check them out, and you'll see the opportunities that exist, and much, much greater than just a year and a half ago. The fourth component is extended learning excellence. We talked to parents all across the city, and they wanted an after-school program. They wanted a consistent, strong after-school program. So now, where we had it kind of spotty before, we have a consistent 2-hour each day, Monday through Friday, after-school program in all of our schools. Of our schools. There's a academic enrichment component, there's a health and wellness component, and there's a psychological, emotional support and resource component. And our community organizations, bid and vie to participate in that excellent program. And then the fifth component is called support for our neediest children and families. Buffalo, I didn't think so, but I realized once I came here that it was as poor and as segregated as Memphis, Tennessee was. And
in many ways worse.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that. And so we realized that our children had extraordinary needs, but that if they had the right supports, they could get back on ramp and go fast and grow fast. And so we provide a wide array of mental health, sociological, dental supports for our children. Just there's no limit really to it. Anything children need, we provide it through that element.
So I get the sense that you are co-locating services in the school. You're not becoming the dental deliverer yourself. You're co-locating.
Right. We're co-locating, and we're bringing partners to bear that give free dental care. For example, the University of Buffalo Dental School will give free dental care to all of our children. All they have to do is sign up with their parents. We have mental health clinics. I call them family support centers in 46 out of 55 of our schools. That's a big deal because of the trauma that so many of our students face. So that element I've been very pleased with as well. Buffalo's generous, so they've always had support. What we had to do was strategically align those supports so that they weren't just happening randomly. And then last but not least is the whole work where most school districts don't get into it, but we're deep into it now, and that's a new and better relationship with our teachers. At the end of the day, teachers spend the most time with our children other than the parents and the home. So if the teachers don't have the right mindset, then it's going to affect the children's learning. If they do have the right mindset and they get the training and support they need, and we work together, that was why I thought a new contract was important, because I wasn't going to get much done if morale was low and everybody was grousing about not having a contract for 16 years, which they should have been. But we have all of that now. We're providing great professional development and growth opportunities on a regular basis for our teachers. And what we work on now is mindfulness and the mindset that all the children can achieve if you have high expectations, if you have high content rigor, so you don't dummy down the curriculum, and then if you give children the time to work on high content rich curriculum. You don't need to spend 2 hours a day taking children to the restroom who are in the 6th grade and 7th grade. That's ridiculous. So those are the kind of changes that I've been emphatic about, and we're getting there. We're not completely there yet, but we've made a big turn, and we're a lot further ahead in this issue of curriculum and instruction, where the game is won or lost in my mind, toward getting high quality schools and high quality student achievement. They have to have great teachers.
I got to tell you, and this is not just, flattery or whatnot, from my perspective in the work, I have programs that we do with you, in the school district, so I get a chance to see what's going on. It seems to me that people feel a sense of progress. It's not like before, and I'm not saying that other people did not have periods where we got better in graduation rates and, on our standardized test scores. But what I feel different now that I was not feeling 4 or 5 years ago is a sense among the people who are actually affected by the school system that things are actually progressing, that we're moving in a direction that makes sense and people feel tactilely like they're engaged in something.
I think that's right. I feel that's the most important thing. If the customer doesn't feel that there's a difference or a change, then it won't really be one. And so there's authenticity to this work now, because I truly believe in partnership. I truly believe you have to work with everybody, from the mayor's office to the common council to the business community, the faith-based community, the higher education institutions. And of course, we put in the bargain, we say parents and students. They're first.
Yep.
They're the main ones we're doing the handshake with.
Yep.
And so if they feel a difference, then that's encouraging, and we just need to stay with it, stick with it.
Superintendent, we got is it one or two?
One question.
Well, a question came in, and then we got to take our break and we hit that question.
Okay, the question is, Dr. Cash, what is your position on the lack of black male teachers in education, not only here but across America? Do you see any parallels with this phenomenon and type of issues black youth have with education?
Absolutely. It's a really, really good question, excellent question, but it correlates and corresponds with the whole challenge. This is why we have My Brother's Keeper going on, because what is happening to black youth and youth of color today is egregious, and it has gone unattenuated. So it still goes on, and that is incarceration is beating education, and the fragility of our black community and our young males, especially from an early age, are treated as criminals too often. We see it daily, and we see the impact on that. So we don't have a lot of parents telling young people to go into education. They're fighting to get them through the gauntlet into high school, adolescence, and then manhood. But what I would say is there's tremendous opportunity now for our young people, and in the My Brother's Keeper program, we're trying to recruit more young people to say, go into education, become a teacher, become a principal, and become a superintendent. That's where you can make a difference. You make a big difference for more children. You just have to, it used to be the place to go, especially for our women. Education was the main way to the middle class and become a teacher. But it's always been rare to have black males go into the education profession. So we need to do that again. And I think, though, that this notion of the superintendent as a children's rights activist and a lead education ambassador, I can't say that and stress that enough. There are injustices that go on every day in our world, in our system, and we have to fight those to give our kids a running chance to be successful. So that's what I do, And young people, you just take advantage of the opportunity that is here now.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back to that point. So if you all stick with us, we see you on this side of the break here at Living Now, Living Right Now. Living Now, Living Right Now. We're here with Dr. and Superintendent of the Buffalo Public School System, Dr. Kriner Cash, who's been with us now almost 3 years now, right?
Almost. Yeah.
Almost 3 years. And I know that everybody had a lot of concerns about what direction we were going in. I honestly feel that we are in a positive momentum. And what I mean by positive momentum is once you get the rocks going down the hill and you get them moving, they'll start moving on their own, right? And I think that's the direction that we've got. You know, we've got a sense that what we're doing is good, that it makes good sense, and that there's good promise in what we're doing. And so people are kind of buying in. Teachers are buying in, parents are buying in, kids are buying in, the community's buying in. And I think this is the thing. I think we got a caller hanging on. Let me grab that call real quick, Dr. Cash. Hi, caller, are you there?
And we had such a wonderful morning. The students presented a program called History in Our City, and they used the Freedom Wall as the centerpiece of this whole program. And the program was written by the students. And Dr. Cash, I was so excited about it. I came back home and I wrote an article in the Criterion, which I'm going to share with you. I hope to get a copy of it to you.
Love it.
These students were absolutely wonderful. Sister L.Nathan and myself, we were both featured on the Freedom Wall, and they also honored George K. Arthur and some of the other people who have done things in Buffalo. So they used Buffalo as a centerpiece of showcasing the history in our city. And you would have been so proud of those students. So I don't want to take up a lot of time. I call Mr. Hare just about every week, and he knows that. But
She's part of my communication system.
And I will also be sharing this article with the Board of Education members.
Yes.
And congratulations. I just love the work that you're doing. And I'll hang up and listen to the rest of the show.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mother Doyle. Absolutely. You know, one of the things that I was thinking about as you were talking, we've got to get people thinking about qualifying to get into the high school they want to get into. In other words, you know, you start out in primary school, that should set you up. You should get to the fourth grade. By the time you come out of primary school, you should get to the fourth grade, beginning elementary school, and you should be ready to play. You should be a good reader. You should have good basic arithmetic skills, basic study habits, the ability to pay attention and so on, so that now you can start thinking about, well, this is only going to get me into a position where I can get to secondary school, and I got to figure out what's the best secondary school for me to go into. And you just talked about 10 quality choices, if not more,
right,
at the secondary school level, where you can prepare yourself for the next step.
Right. All of them we're trying to make as good choices, all 17. And they have programs now and or have been reimagined as a whole high school. East is an example of a whole high school being reimagined. South Park would be an example of a high school with new concentrations in it that students can go and major in and come out into the world of work or post-secondary, like solar energy and so forth. So all of the high schools, we're rapidly trying to at least make them good options. It'll take a while, maybe a couple years, to get their first graduating class, get all of the instructional pieces really, really well rooted in. But right now, I'm as positive as I've ever been that if you really understand what that school is focusing on and you go with the right attitude, you can be very, very successful in just about all of our high schools right now.
And I say this all the time, and I know that sometimes my audience might get tired of me saying this, but I mean for people to get this in their spirit. In Buffalo, and I'm not sure that we're spending all of the money the best way you can spend the money. That's not my issue. My issue is we are spending somewhere between $23,000 and $25,000 per child per year. And if you're getting that kind of money for free being spent on your child, it seems to me that you should not turn your back on that money. You should be doing everything in your power to take the maximum advantage of that opportunity. Am I making an ounce of sense here?
Well, the actual amount is a bit inflated for per pupil. It's the amount that comes into the schools, but it goes to so many things.
Right.
The actual amount that goes directly to children is about between $10,000 and $12,000 dollars per year. But because we have such high needs, we can spend up to $100,000.
That's not directly on education.
Right. And we have transportation and building and costs that go out like that. But nonetheless, it's still, from a New York State standpoint, you have high taxes, and your money is coming to education. You should take advantage of it for sure.
Right. And so I guess what I wanted to kind of get into was some of the things that have happened over the course of the past 3 or so years, so that people get a sense of what we're talking about in terms of progress. Now, Sam Radford, with the District Parent Coordinating Council, he and I got on this issue. This had to be 2005. We had come back from a march in Washington, Million Man March, and we just kind of got focused on what are the things that we could do something about. So we took education as one of our focal points. And one of the things that was happening at that time, we had something like 27% graduation rates for African males. You can't win in this society like that. There's not enough room in the society for people that have not gotten that, that have only gotten that far,
right?
Educationally. So that was something we had to get on. We were talking about graduation rates as a whole. I believe we're something in the area of 45%. We have a caller. Hang on. I want to grab that call before they get away from us.
Okay.
Hi, caller. Are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Blessed love to everybody.
Sure.
I'd like to ask the superintendent if he can expand on what is possible for those who are adult learners and what sort of benefit the community can have from the community schools if they fully participate, and how that will make a difference for our city.
So, excellent question. Thank you for the question. When we talk about a bargain with parents and students, we absolutely are talking about extending educational opportunity and resources for our parents and our adults in the community as well. We initiated 4 parent centers in 4 of our high schools that are community schools, and those are open pretty good amount of time from early morning till into the evening, and on Saturday. And we already had an excellent adult education program under the leadership of Les Leopold. lots and lots of courses and opportunities for employment out of our adult education program. We have 26 sites around the city. It's not often known by the community writ large how strong the adult education program is here in Buffalo. But we added to that with opportunities right in our high schools and right in our schools for parents to sign up and come in and utilize resources. We've this year alone had over 6,500 parents come through our parent centers, offering over 75 courses in the fall and the spring to help advance certifications for adults, occupational workforce certifications, and just general interest information to help them become better partners and parents with us as a district. So lots and lots of services being offered to our parents and adults in the community. So thank you for that question. Go online, look us up, and you'll see the quite array and strength of our adult education here in Buffalo.
So I don't want to miss the opportunity to talk a little bit about where we've come from, and where we are right now. We were, I think I was about to say, we were somewhere in that 45, 46% graduation rate. We are now at what I'm going to say, a reasonably competitive graduation rate now. I mean, I know statewide it's pretty close to 80%, somewhere 77%, something like that. We're somewhere.
Well, again, let's break it down though, because what often happens is you take an aggregate and then you say, and this is 55 schools, but the high schools where your graduation rate is, of course, measured, 8 of those 16 schools have graduation rates above the state average.
Okay.
Saying people don't know that.
Yep.
There's 6 schools in the 90s. There's 2 schools in the 80s, and there's several schools right at that cusp in the 70s, 74, 76. It's the schools that were at once at 30%, 40%, that we have to bring up, and that's where I'm making some of this focus with the new education bargain, like a Burgard High School. Burgard was just a few years ago at 30% graduation rate. That, of course, is unacceptable, but yet it had elements of a strong program. And so we had to just re-excite the students about the program opportunities and about the kind of employment and money you can make. $65,000 if you stick with the program in automotive technology, for example, welding, machine technology. It's just tremendous opportunity. So now we have a different attitude with the young people coming to Burgard, and I expect their graduation rate, it'll take a minute or two, but it'll start to climb and grow as well.
And I understand that there are a number of employers in the region, in the 6 western counties of the state, that are actually coming to Buffalo and working with the district to model out, well, if you guys are going to make this investment, well, why not use this equipment or train them on this stuff so that when they graduate, they can come and work for us, right away.
Northland Corridor is a good example of that.
Right. See, so, what it sounds like is that our education system is really turning itself directly towards preparing the students to be able to go into the world. You may go into the world immediately. You may go into the world and have to go through a apprenticeship. You may go into the world and have to go through a undergraduate program or even a graduate program, depending on how far you want to go. You'll make that decision on your own. But you need to have the preparation to make it possible for you to take advantage of the opportunities that are being made available to us, right?
That's exactly right. But we needed to widen the pipe. The pipe was too narrow, and and that's what we saw, is that their children come from wide array of interests and backgrounds, and not everyone fits through the same, narrow spigot. So we opened up the pipe, and now there's lots and lots of opportunities. You just have to, like I said, partner with us, have the will, and go out and do like you do in sports. Go out like you do when you're in the theater arts and music. You have to practice 5 hours a day to be a great athlete or to be a great musician.
And we don't seem to mind doing that.
You don't mind, and you just go do it. It's the same thing to get ahead in anything. You have to outwork the next person. And we live in a very competitive world today. There are new Americans coming in from all parts of the world. They're hungry. They want to thrive and achieve, and just like we had the American dream when our ancestors came here. So now The competition is tougher, but we've always, the people have always been tough, and you just have to now apply that into your education, into growing your mind, not just your muscles.
So how are we doing in terms of some of the other issues that were surrounding the district in terms of high suspension rates? I remember at one point we were having suspension rates that were something in the area of 150, 250 suspensions a day, in the district, and maybe 150 expulsions a week, or I don't know exactly how those numbers go, but they were a high number.
Right. Well, they were high in a lot of places, but here it goes to what I was saying before about mindset. And this is one of the things that Phil and I, the president of BTF, will get into disagreement about, and that when you see kids walking and talking, and in some cases screaming and hollering, it doesn't mean that they're bad or that they need to be suspended or expelled. They may have trauma issues going on. We have children, young people, 16, 17, who've had 24 relatives and parent and friends killed by the time they're 17 and 18. Right. So that child may look healthy and normal, but she's experienced extraordinary trauma. And if there hasn't been intervention or we don't have treatment to support, that can be a hindrance and an impedance. So help our young people rather than suspend them hand over foot and thinking that that's going to be an improved situation. There's more to it than that too. There's also this sort of Christian Judeo ethic that if you do something wrong, you got to be punished for it. And I'm a tough dad. I punished my children when they were young, but they grew into men that are respected authority and so forth. So discipline has to be put in there early by parents. But I don't want this level of mindset about our children has to change. You have to be, and that's why I'm training everybody, principals and teachers, with trauma-informed care and culturally and linguistically responsive teaching. And those two big system-wide trainings are starting to help with this issue. The third one that's big is disproportionality training, where teachers become more sensitized to how we disproportionately assign students of color to lower achievement classes, special ed, suspensions and expulsions. So all of that training is we're seeing again starting to improve those negative statistics. Yeah.
We have a caller hanging on. Let me get that call real quick. Hi, caller. Are you there?
Good morning, Mr. Hare. How you doing?
Hey, Sam. How you doing?
I'm excellent. Just one question here. First of all, I just want to make the comment that when the school district was going in the wrong direction, as the president of the district parent coordinating council, you didn't find a bigger critic, than me. And now the district is going the right direction. You're not going to find a greater supporter. I think the direction that we're going in, the partnership with parents, I think is a model for the country. The creation of the Parent Congress and just the effort to keep parents working together in harmony in the best interest of our children, I just think has been, really special in terms of what's going on with your leadership, Dr. Cash. But something occurred to me as I was listening to you this morning, and actually I saw an article about some of the work that you did in Memphis, where it was talked about since you left, it was the last real plan that Memphis had was when you were there back in 2012, and since then they hadn't had the same kind of planning going forth. And so it just occurred to me that, you came here and you made a major change in terms of what's going on. And you didn't really bring new people. You really made that change with the people that were here. So what my question is what is the sustainability, for what you're doing? I mean, I think it's great for Buffalo, but is there a plan to where, hopefully you'll be here for the next 5 years? If not, the sustainability, and then I see that there's a $16 million deficit, so we need more support from other places. What's the plan to try to get the additional resources to sustain this and also to develop a bench to continue what you're doing?
Well, that's always the issue. I thank you for the question, Sam. The resource issue is just everybody has to help with that. Even though we look like we have a lot of money that comes into the Buffalo Public Schools, actually for the need, it's not nearly enough. So we have to be innovative, go to outside funders, go to national grantors. I'm doing all I can to try to get money like I did in Memphis from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. There are a lot of funders and grantors that want to give money, but they don't have enough good ideas to attract it. I think we have a powerful plan here in Buffalo right now. We can attract more dollars that way. But the city and the state still need to up their game, I think, and contribute more to the children of Buffalo. On the issue of succession and sustaining the work, one of the things I'm so proud and excited about the parent work and why it's a parent partnership is that parents now have a new benchmark. Parents now, they need to say, whether I'm here or gone, they need to say we're never going back to a substandard education or set of programs and opportunity and so forth. So I believe in what's called demand parents. Of course, you exemplify that, Sam, but I like parents who say we want a better education for our child. When they keep that demand strong, the school board, the leaders going forward, they won't rest. They won't have a chance to relax and get complacent. You have to stay urgent about it. One thing about me is I'm sort of relentless about this work. I sleep in shifts. My wife knows I get up at 3 a.m. thinking about what am I going to do to keep this work moving forward and get it even better and better and better. So you never rest on this. Now the thing is, I have a pretty good cabinet now. These are people that were from Buffalo and they've been here, but I've also encouraged them to go out and make their mark out in the world and apply to superintendencies out there. And there's several that are applying right now, and we'll probably lose some of them. So we just have to keep growing them, and there's a lot of good young people over in the Say Yes program. I meet good young people. You've introduced me to some young people that I think if they get their credentials and they get their vision pointed toward what we're trying to do here, they would be excellent people in this work at a good leadership level. So let's get on board. Let's get in this game, and I will grow you as fast as I can. And I want to be able to leave and recommend 5 strong people to succeed me when I leave.
All right, outstanding. So listen, I was going to try to take a break, but I don't see my engineer yet. So let me ask another question. We have the well, in fact, let me hold on the parent engagement piece until here we go. Let me take our last break, then we can talk in some continuity. So if you all stick with us, we will sit aside of the break here at Living Right Now. All right, here we go, Living Right Now. Welcome back. This is L.Nathan here, your host. We're here with our Superintendent of the Buffalo Public School System, Dr. Kriner Cash. We're talking about the grand bargain and trying to give you some tactile feel for what's going on. I also want to make sure we touch bases on the Common Core, or I don't know Common Core, but standardized testing and whatnot. And my antipathy towards these people that really don't want their children to be tested. I don't grasp how that's in the interest of the student or how that's in the interest of the parent. Maybe it's just me, but I don't get that.
Well, just quickly, I would say that there is a point from that viewpoint in that the tests do need to be fair. They've never really been fair in terms of evaluating a student's true achievement level. But they are what they are. They're just like any other test, the law exam, the doctor exam, the MCAT, the LSAT, the GRE.
All have unfairness.
The testing to go drive, get your driver's license, civil service. There's some bias in all of those tests. So don't enable your children by having them not take these tests. But more importantly, they do try. We have a good commissioner of education right now for the state of New York. She's a career educator, very, very dedicated to quality education, knows what a good test looks like and how it can be used for diagnostic purposes and improvement purposes. So she's made 4 important changes to this state exams that were problematic. Sam earlier called in, and he served on a committee at the state level to try to improve the inherent bias at the early childhood level, give students untimed tests rather than having that anxiety to have to finish within a certain amount of time. Make that content more relevant to what they were learning in school rather than sort of set it way out over to the right and never have really dealt with
making it really abstract.
Yeah,
right.
To the experiences of children. So all of that has happened. And so I do encourage every child to take the test every year leading up to the Regents. When you take the Regents, you have to take those exams to graduate. So it's a way of life in our culture. We're assessed on everything. And that's why I don't want to say don't take it. I agree.
I really want people to understand the process of getting yourself to a point where you can read, write, and count and communicate at a 10th grade level shapes you in terms of the way you think, the way you process information, the internalized values that you get out of the process of learning at that level. You need to make sure that your child is marching towards that goal. So set aside that, maybe this school, this teacher, this somebody is not, what you prefer, but you still have to get your child to reach these age appropriate benchmarks if you want your child to succeed. You can't be 18 years old functioning like you're 8 years old. That dog just doesn't hunt.
It's a failure. Right.
So that will take me to the issue with regard to the Every Student Succeeds Act. That replaced what used to be called the No Child Left Behind Act. And, everybody's worried about the Common Core testing and all of that. So, we have a lot more local control over this testing process, and that seems to be less of the issue from my point of view. But where are we going with the Every Student Succeeds Act, and how does the education bargain fit into the response to the new challenges, I guess, that the ESSA legislation puts forward?
Yeah, it's a good question. First, the historical context is that there's always been this effort by federal government to sort of get involved in education and call it by, ESSA, No Child Left Behind. It's really the same kind of construct with a different ribbon on it, different bow. So those probably won't ever stop. And the whole idea is they realize that by the previous era, the scores are still low, the graduation rates are still too low. Kids seem to be getting further behind instead of ahead. So they come in with another effort to fix the problem. My strategy is like a good parent strategy, which is I'm going to prepare my son and daughter for whatever comes out here in the world. You see, I'm going to prepare them to be competitive no matter what federal, state, local hurdle comes. My kid will be ready to go take a jump over that bar, or at least take a good effort at it. And that's what I'm trying to do with the new education bargain. I'm trying to get all of our kids prepared to pass any test, to be prepared for any challenge that comes to them. They're in school for 13, 14 years, so there are going to be shifts in power and politics and new plans and ESSAs and all of that, even probably during the time they're in grade school to high school. So you can't just keep worrying about what's coming and what's going to shift and what's going to change. You got to get everything strong. So that's how I focus. We focus on what's strong versus what's wrong. And we're improving everything that we see. If we see something that needs improvement, we're working on it. We're working to get it done now, and everything is urgent. It's urgent.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to get the best teaching, the best standard in all of our classrooms, in every school, every subject, every day, through the child's educational career. And then he or she be ready to read a college text, to go to college, to go into the world of work. Whatever he or she wants to do, she'll be ready, having come through a strong pre-K through 12 education.
And part of the grand bargain also involves the ability to communicate to the community of people who are the users of the system, the beneficiaries of the system. So you have the BuffaloPublicSchools.com website. And I know there's a lot of stuff on it, but you really want a website that has a lot of stuff on it. You don't want something that's just like a bare bones,
Right.
kind of a thing. And it will tell you information about individual schools. It will tell you information about individual services. It will tell you information about collaborators.
Right.
It'll tell you information about sort of initiatives that are being done.
Videos, a lot of videos now
Right.
to show you
Right.
in 4 minutes what that whole thing is about.
So if you have a computer at home or you have a handheld device, you can just type in Buffalo schools.com or .org rather, buffaloschools.org. Just type that in, and all of this data becomes available to you. You can access, I'm not sure the process, but you can access the parent portal where you can get information about your child. That portal now is specific to you as the parent and your child. You can't see everybody else's kids, but you can see your child, right?
And your schools.
And I presume that's all you're interested in is your child and your school. But having that ability to be able to be more of a director, it's like in our Head Start program. Our Head Start parents are literally directors of their kids' education. At least that's what we try to prepare them to be able to do. And that's really the model that we want to see done with everybody, which takes me to, I guess, my last point in the last 4 or 5 minutes that we got in the program. Talk a little bit about the parent engagement model that you have adopted in the system, where you have sort of a lead parent and you have parents in each individual classroom and so on.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we're doing is I think we're communicating better with parents than probably prior was the case. A lot of times the mentality is to involve parents versus engage parents. And there's a big difference. When you have the involvement model, it's about what can parents do for you. Come into your bake sales, come pay for this, make sure you participate in that and do that. The engagement model is it's a two-way communication. You're hearing from what parents would like to see happen in the schools and to improve the district, and then you're also communicating back with them on a regular basis of what you're trying to do in that effort, meeting their requests, but also asking them that they got to put some skin in the game too. So this Parent Congress is really a big achievement. It's sort of the merger of the DPCC under Sam's leadership that was active here for some years, and then also this BPTO, which is sort of a parent group that has evolved out
That's
of
the Buffalo Parent Teacher Organization.
And they were, sort of competing and vying for different kinds of things. And I felt like, if they're all parents or at least represent parents, then they should, let's work together. So I meet monthly with that group, and we make a commitment that by the next meeting we will have solved, 3 or 4 issues. So we get concrete about what the requests are, what the expectations are, and then we all work together on trying to keep this bargain getting deeper and deeper and more achievement. Because while it's relatively concise and easy to understand at the level of on one page, it really goes deep in each of those 6 components that we alluded to. They go really deep, and you can work for years to improve in each one of those major areas. And so that's what we're doing. We have a way of measuring it. We share that measurement with the Parent Congress. We have a really big annual parent summit now that is planned together. It's not a district summit. It's not a parent summit. It's a partnership summit. And we invite parents from all over the district to come with their students. It's a learning time. It's a recognition time. It's a growing time together. And then we're going to continue to do events like this that support parents and their children. So I like the energy. I like the synergy that's going on now. Parents have indicated that they also are pleased, but we won't rest. We never rest on our laurels. We keep achieving, keep pushing, because this work is it's like working and building your home. You're never done with it. You keep trying to improve it.
Okay, I think we have a caller hanging on. We got that call real quick. Hi, caller, are you there?
Yeah, thank you for sharing about the Parent Congress. And I just wanted to real quickly see if the superintendent would mind saying a few words about the new initiative where he has asked each individual teacher to identify homeroom parents and two homeroom parents. And, really now getting down at the level where all parents have children at a homeroom level and being able to communicate that level. And then the August orientation, all parent orientation in August. I think you could say a few words about that. Thank you.
That sounded like someone familiar, and I believe I already did say it, so it's been said. But I do think that it's great that we now have representatives at each homeroom that can go out and get information from the parents in that class. So we're nuanced and granulated down to the classroom level now of trying to get parent information and support for their children and involved and engaged in the school. That's a great new initiative. Finally come to fruition. And the other piece is just that annually, and maybe twice annually, we work to bring a big convention center style parent summit together where we do everything that you wouldn't normally have the time to do, from inoculate parents if they need inoculations from health standpoint, dental care, early childhood supports, what you can do to advance your child's learning and cognitive skills, on and on. We're providing these summits for our community, and we're doing it in partnership with people like you, Nathan, the CAO, and many partners, all coming to one place. So it's a one-stop shop for our parents and students. It's really exciting.
Yeah, we have maybe 20 seconds left in the program.
Go ahead, you finish.
So I just want people to sort of have in your spirit what's really going on. You've got a school district now that's led by a superintendent who was really focused on the outcomes for you, for your children, and for you as the household that your children are in, that is trying to tackle all of the issues that came up over the course of the past 40 years. I mean, you didn't do those things. They were here when you got here. Somebody decided to do desegregation when they chose to do it. They eliminated neighborhood schools. Well, you found a way to recreate the spirit of neighborhood schools, and that's growing more and more every year. And so this model is only going to work is if we all play our role in the grand bargain. That means that teachers have to play their role, parents got to play their role, children have to play their role. Obviously, the superintendent is playing his role. That's how this is going to get done. So let's all get together. Let's do everything that we can so that all we can do, we are actually doing and making life better for our children and for our families. Thank you all for out there listening to us. We look forward to talking to you all next week here at Living Now, Living Right Now.